So we continue on with our series of God's voice in the stars, in the sky. We covered Virgo, then we went to Libra, and then we went to Scorpio, and now the next actor in the stage is Sagittarius. I see this star grouping, Sagittarius, and its 3 deacons. Let's go to that one. The Conqueror, the Final Triumph. Okay, and we have Sagittarius here. He is an archer, known as the Archer or the Victorious Redeemer. Notice how instead of being, it's still a centaur, part beast and part man, which depicts the dual nature of God that he chose to reveal himself in. But instead of being the despised one, which is in Virgo, he is now the archer, the victorious one. Sagittarius, unlike Scorpio, who precedes him along the great skyway of the zodiac, is not particularly striking as a star group. It can be easily found, however, by looking eastward from the star Antares, a bright red star which marks the heart of Scorpio. It is to this red star that the arrow of Sagittarius points, perhaps indicating the mortal wound inflicted in the heart of the deadly enemy. Sagittarius is the most southerly of all the zodiacal signs, and appears very low in the horizon of the summer sky in the northern latitudes. The theme of the prophetic message of Sagittarius is written in Psalm 45, which also speaks of Christ as the gracious one. Christ is seen in verse 2. Grace is poured into thy lips, therefore God hath blessed thee forever, as the prince who comes forth, in verse 4. And in the majesty ride prosperously because of truth. And in thy majesty ride prosperously because of truth. As the divine person who is noble and righteous, verse 4. Of truth and meekness and righteousness as the great archer, verse 5. Thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, as the prince of the earth, in verse 6. And thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. So Psalm 45, first we see it in the sky, and then we see it in Psalm 45. Then we move on to the next star series called Lyra. Here, Lyra, right here. It looks like a harp in the sky, but it's also an eagle. And the stars mean this little one here, eagle ascending. And this little star right here, he shall be exalted. So the name of the bright star Vega means he shall be exalted, and directs attention to the theme of the praise from the harp. So we have the harp meaning praise for the glorious Redeemer, and now they sang a new song in Revelation 5, 9 through 13. Because thou hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. The answering chorus sang, Blessed and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb forever and ever. The harp is one of the very oldest of instruments used in the lifetime of Adam, we see in Genesis 4:21. Music has often been used as a vehicle of praise, and here we see in the sky, in this star constellation, the praises for the Most High God taking place for his victory. Come down here to Ara, the lake of fire prepared for the devil and his angels. The consuming fire of Ara follows the triumphant praise seen in Lyra. That praise is reflected in Psalm 21. O Lord, thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, for they indeed intended evil against thee. Thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. So will we sing and praise thy power. It is therefore striking that in the same psalm, which speaks of the conquering bowman in terms of praise, as seen in Lyra, God also alludes to the fires of judgment. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. The scriptures and the signs in the sky are in perfect harmony. How cool is that? We come to Draco, the great dragon cast out. Draco is a long, winding constellation made up of stars that are not very conspicuous. Its two brightest stars in its head are not far from Vega, while the other stars from a winding line almost to the pole star. 4,700 years ago, one of its stars, Thuban, was in fact the polar star. Isn't that interesting? So then the effects of precession have carried the pole almost to Polaris, while Thuban has diminished in brightness by almost half. However, even though the importance of Draco to navigators has lessened, its importance to the student of prophetic symbols in the heavens is still very clear. Isaiah speaks of the song that shall be sung in the coming day of judgment. In that day the Lord with his great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the swift serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Isaiah 27:1. The stars in the head of Draco are Esteban, the head of the subtle, and Ethanine, the long serpent, Thuban, the subtle, and as seen in Revelation 9-10, the original tempter and enemy of God. And here we see him in the sky, ready to consume God and all that belongs to him, but God is victorious over him. We see in the sign of Sagittarius, number 1, Sagittarius, the archer with a drawn bow, the victorious Redeemer. Lyra, the harp or lyre, praise for the victorious Redeemer. Ara, the altar of burning pyre, judgment prepared for the devil and his angels. And Draco, the dragon cast down, Satan cast down in defeat. What a wonderful story this is telling us. God bless you all.